Ciao ciao mis amigos, PXCam20 back in with a brand new video. We are here at Monza for a daily race that I have not been looking forward to ever since they announced it last week that we were going to be racing back at Monza. It is no surprise that heading into the first chicane, even the second chicane, whether it is on Assetto Corsa, iRacing, GT Sport, even in real life, you're going to most likely end up making contact with another car. If not, you're going to end up getting spun out, rammed out, pushed out, all the outs basically. And it's a really big DR and SR killer when you're coming to Monza, as you are always risking your DR and SR, especially if you're in the middle of the pack or in the back of the pack. If you're in the front, you can somewhat control your destiny, but at the same time, you never know if second place, third place, or anyone behind you is going to end up missing a braking point and taking you out, and then somehow you're in the back of the pack trying to fight your way back up. And again, just risking your SR and DR. So with this race, it has dropped my DR and SR down significantly, as I have lost about 5,000 to 6,000 driver rating points. And I actually went from a S rank sportsmanship rating to a B rank sportsmanship rating. But luckily, I was able to get myself up into the ASR ranking for this race. But again, this basically the entire week has been just trying to regrind my DR and SR, especially because the penalty system right now, it's really questionable with some of the penalties that they are calling. But that's enough of my ranting. Before we jump into the video, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that's enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into this crazy race that we had here at Monza. Now, as we jump into the race, this race actually requires a strategy they have to implement whenever you are doing a race here around Daily Race C at Monza. So you were given the mediums and the hard compound tires, so you can run the mediums and the hards, but the hards are the required compounds. And you also have fuel consumption that only allows you to run about maybe 5 to 6 laps without having to come in to top off with fuel. So our strategy here is going to be to run the mediums for about 5 to 6 laps, depending on how much we could save on fuel, and then running the final stint on the hards and finishing off the race on the hards. So let's see what we can do here as we are now jumping into the grid. As we now come into the race, we are getting our 3, 2, 1, and we are a go now. So we are following right behind the fourth place driver, already starting to save fuel as we are short shifting down the straight, leading us into turn number 1. We're just getting it about halfway through the RPMs and then just shifting here, as we're gonna actually just coast it along going into the first chicane. Heading to the first chicane, luckily there's nobody behind us, but you can see third and fourth place already making contact as the third place driver pushes out the Canadian. The Canadian's out wide going into the dirt, and we get an easy fourth place position because of that, as that was a pretty dirty move. He just kind of forced his way down there and was able to get around the Canadian by pushing him out. And we're now heading to the second chicane, so we're gonna see what happens here as the third place actually misses the braking points, tries to take out the second place driver, and that's gonna lose him some time here as we're coming out of the second chicane. We try to take a little peek onto the inside, but we fall him right behind as we head into Lesmo 1 for the first time. Coming out of Lesmo 1, we actually lose a little bit of time from the third place driver, but he gets a little bit wide as we now come into Lesmo 2 and just staying right behind him as we want to stay in the slipstream, short shift, not over rev the engine, as we have to save some fuel here and also conserve our medium tires to see how long we can push them throughout the race. And as we come into Ascari for the first time, you see third place goes a little bit wide going into the first part of Ascari, going back onto the track. He cuts right in front of us as we have to back out of the throttle, and now first and second place is able to make a huge gap from us, fighting here for third, and we're staying right behind third place as we're now following him on the straight, leading us into Parabolica, going into the inside here as we get a really good run. We're keeping on to the inside as we try to brake as early as we can, and third place is able to get a good entrance going into Parabolica and get a good exit here, as we are now going to stay right behind him on the slipstream. So crazy first lap, as first and second again have just pulled away from us as we're trying to make a move onto the inside. He tries to block us as we head down the front stretch, and we're going to stay right behind him as we're going onto the inside. I kind of want to get around him because he's just kind of holding us up here, as first and second are now starting to battle each other for the lead right here as we're heading to the first chicane. Coming to the first chicane, third place is able to outbrake us as we kind of coast our way through the first chicane, and second place actually gets a 1 second penalty, or actually first place gets a 1 second penalty. So that's going to be an advantage for us, as once he has to serve his penalty, it's going to definitely pull up the third place driver and get us into that slipstream, and hopefully pull us up to the first place driver so that we can battle for the lead here, as we are staying right behind the third place driver heading to the second chicane. As we come into the left-hander right now, We're staying right behind the third place driver, but you can see how much time we gained on the first and second place driver as they were fighting with each other brutally. And now the third place driver is now on his back bumper as the second place driver has to serve his penalty. We get around him on the straight, and we are now promoted into the podium as we are in third place, trying to catch up to second and first and get back into the slipstream to save some fuel. So heading into the left-hander here, we brake right after the 100-meter board, and we're able to pull ourselves up a little bit closer to the second place driver. But again, we're just focusing on saving some fuel as we are short shifting. Second place goes a little bit wide, clips that dirt, and it's going to allow us to catch up to him a little bit as we come down to the straight, leading us into Parabolica. So as we are in Parabolica now, second place misses his braking point, goes very wide, and look at how much time we're able to gain on him as again we're staying right behind him, following him on the slipstream. And I think we're just going to follow him right here as he does give us the outside so that he can have the inside going to turn number 1, but we're just going to follow him going side by side. And if he wants that position, I think we're just going to give it to him as we're going to coast right at the 200-meter board, brake as late as we can after that 150-meter board. And yeah, we just let him get the spot there as there's no point in trying to fight right now as we have to stay with the first place driver, as the more that we fight, the more the first place driver is going to get away from us, and the more that first place can actually save some fuel. And the reason why it's so important to save fuel is because if you are able to save at least 10 or 15 or 5% of fuel, it can easily save you about a whole entire second on the pit stop. So that's why it's so important to save fuel now as we're heading into the second chicane. Braking right after the 100-meter board, you see that second place actually misses his braking point. He goes very, very loose, spins out, and that is second place for us now as we are now promoted into second place, and third place is about half a second behind us. So all we have to do here is just focus on hitting our lines, coasting through these corners, save some fuel, and try to not let third place get around us as we are now heading into Ascari. So coming to Ascari on lap number 4, you see that third place is now on our back bumper as he's getting a really good run coming out, and he's going to get the slipstream here as we come down the straight. And just keep an eye on the radar, seeing where he's at. He's staying right behind us as he is getting closer and closer to us, going onto the inside a little bit. He actually just stays right behind us, and that's good on him as he knows that we are catching up to the first place driver, so that's going to be beneficial for us. If we do not fight here, that's just going to be better for us when it comes later on into the race, especially if we're gaining time right now on first place as we come past the start finish line, leading us into the lap number 5. So as we are now on lap number 5, third place is getting a huge run on us as he goes onto the inside heading to the first chicane. He had no choice but to go onto the inside right there as he had too much of a head of steam. We just let him go through as again I do not want to fight heading into these corners, but you can see how close we are still to first place, and we're just going to follow along right behind second place, use him as a good way to get us a tow into first place and just save more and more fuel now as we're heading into Curva Grande, leading us into the second chicane. So as we're staying right behind second place driver, again just using his slipstream right here, we shift our fuel mapping to 2 as we head into the second chicane, going to very, very carefully as we shift it back to 1 for the fuel mapping. And we're going to stay right behind the second place driver now, as I think we're going to have to come into this into the box this lap or next lap as we actually get overtaken again by the Canadian as we head into Parabolica. So staying right behind the Canadian, we're just going to see what we're going to do here is we might have to react to some of these guys if they do come into the pits. Second place comes into the pits. We decide to do a fakie right there as we were kind of looking into going into the pits, but we decided to back out as first place also came into the pits here. And it's a really interesting tactics as third and fourth used mediums and hards as we're heading to the first corner. Going to the first corner, we make a great overtake on the Canadian on the outsides. I think he just let us go there as he's going to probably use our slipstream to try to help him, but he gets a really bad exit coming out of the first chicane, and we're able to increase our gap on him now as we're coming out of the final corner, leading us into lap number 7. But we're going to come into the pits here and see if we can switch off to the hards, put in as much fuel as we can to make it to the end of the race, and see where we come out here as we are waiting, underfuel the car just a tad bit, come out. Where are we at here? As you can see now, the 2 cars right behind us are fighting for position as we go into the first corner. We make a little bit of contact with second place as we probably should have moved a little bit more to the inside, but we are now promoted or demoted into third place as the second and first place are still fighting with each other. So not sure how much fuel they actually wasted because of all the fighting and scrapping that they were doing, but somehow we are still in third place in the slipstream right there as we were able to gain a whole entire second on the Canadian, I think because we saved a little bit more fuel than him. And now we are just setting our sights again on the first and second place drivers. We're just going to see what happens here. Still saving some fuel so we can probably go for a late race attack. But we're just staying right behind them as we get a little bit loose coming out of the second chicane. and follow them into Lesmo 1. So heading into Lesmo 1, we stay right behind them as we jump a little forward into Ascari. Now on lap number 7, you can see first and second are now starting to pull away from me as we get a little bit loose coming out of that corner. And I don't know which one of these cars was the one that used the mediums and the hards, but one of them right now is on the mediums and no one is on the hards right now. So we actually have to get a half a second penalty for corner cutting. So just our luck right there, as that's going to definitely hurt us here as we come into the first chicane. Going to the first chicane, there's actually a car right ahead of us that has a penalty too, so both of us are going to have to serve the penalty, as that's going to be beneficial towards us, as both of them are still fighting with each other coming out of first chicane. And you can see how much time it costed them. That's the reason why I don't like fighting going to some of these chicanes, because it just costs you so much time. It can cost you about half a second to a whole entire second, depending on how hard you're fighting with these guys. As we come out of Lesmo 2 now, having to serve our penalty, serve our half a second penalty, we lose third place, but still we are in the slipstream of this lead pack, so we're going to do everything we can to try to stay with them, as we only have about 2.5 laps left in this race as we now come into Ascari. So breaking after the 100-meter board, staying right behind the third place driver. You can see that they're still fighting with each other and they're just holding each other up, so that allows me to catch up even closer to them as we come out of the Ascari chicane. And staying right behind third place, we're just going to continue saving some fuel, try to see if we can make a last late race move on these guys and see if we can push as much as we can on lap number 10, as we're now heading to the first chicane. So coming to the first chicane, third and first make a little bit of contact as they're still fighting with each other for first place. The Canadian tries to make a move on to the inside of a second place driver, and they are still fighting with each other, but the Canadian goes back in line as they are now single file line heading into Curva Grande. Going to Curva Grande, we lose a little bit of momentum coming out of that corner, as I got a little bit scared about what was going to happen there, and we kind of got distracted coming out of the corner, but we're going to see if we can try to catch up into them going into the second chicane. Braking as late as we can as we head into the second chicane. You can see again we're just gaining some time on them here, but they're still pulling away from us on the straight. So again, we're just staying right behind them, hopefully using the slipstream to catch us back up to them on the end of the straights. And luckily the plan has been working now as we come out of Ascari. But coming out of Ascari, we clip the rumble strip just a little too much, and we actually lose it right there as we go into the grass, and that's gonna serve us some about 2 seconds right there, as we lose about 2 seconds away from third place driver, and now we are in fourth place, 2 seconds behind third place. So this is going to hurt us tremendously, as we are now coming into Parabolica for the final time. We were unable to make up the gap there, as we were just trying to plan everything out, and unfortunately we just did not succeed with the plan, as we go very, very wide coming out of Scar. We get distracted by the 17th place driver, and we are not going to come to this race in fourth place, as we actually lose fuel right before the start finish line. So just to put more nails into the coffin, somehow again we went from almost fighting for first place to finishing in fourth place because of a costly mistake coming out of Ascari chicane. And we also lost fuel at the end of the race, which is pretty ironic, because I just kept exclaiming how important it is to save fuel throughout this race, and we weren't even able to save enough fuel to make it to the end of the race, as we did finish this race in fourth place. But again, just very disappointing, because we basically shot ourselves in the foot with spinning ourselves out coming out of Ascari chicane, as we could have won this race if we would have stayed with the top 3 guys. But hey, we're just gonna have to deal with it. At least we didn't lose any SR ratings on this race, and we were able to increase our driver ratings just a little bit. But again, on our ways to try to fight back to 50,000 driver rating, it's going to be a really tough hill to climb, because of how incredibly ridiculous the penalty system is right now with Monza and at Dragon Trail Seaside. So we're going to do everything we can to help ourselves up throughout the week and try to stay as clean as we can, improve our lap times on Monza, and hopefully we can come out with better finishes and less costly mistakes. As you can see, second and third lost a lot of driver rating points in SR, and you can see everybody else behind us also lost some SR. So let me know how you guys are feeling about this week on daily races. How are you guys dealing with Monza? I know a lot of people have been having issues with Monza, especially with their SR and DR. Let me know how that's going for you guys. Leave it in the comments down below. And if you guys found this video very entertaining, please again subscribe and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys really enjoyed the video, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace out.